What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Alex, and I talk a lot of movies, on occasion video games, and TV shows. And today I'm going to be talking about the newest Christopher Nolan movie, Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer stars Cillian Murphy as the title character and a whole plethora of a supporting cast, including, but not limited to, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, Robert Downey Jr., a whole bunch of other people. And Oppenheimer is about Robert Oppenheimer, the man, the myth, the legend, who was part of the Manhattan Project and the mastermind behind creating the atomic bomb that the US eventually dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II to Japan to surrender. I've not really loved Nolan's movies since Interstellar. Interstellar's one that I love. I don't really like the twist in Interstellar, but even then, I still love it because it's fact-based science. But I think peak Nolan was the Dark Knight trilogy. Inception is good. I don't think it's mind-blowing like everybody says it is. And I think Dunkirk's a massive disappointment. Tenet is a massive disappointment. I think Tenet is actually his worst film. I go back and forth with how much I like it or how much I don't like it every time I watch it. There's always a constant negative with Nolan films, and that is the sound mixing, and it's no different here. Before I get into that, though, I will just say I think it's his best movie since Interstellar. But I didn't love Oppenheimer. I don't think it's worthy of all the praise it's getting, but it's definitely a good movie. I wouldn't say it's a fantastic or a phenomenal movie, but it is really good. I think off the bat, though, this movie did not have to be 3 hours. It's an hour too long. It could easily have been trimmed to 2 hours, 2 hours and 10, at the most, 2 hours and 20. There's just so much fat in this movie and so much of a supporting cast that barely gets any screen time. Like, seriously, Jack Quaid is in this movie. He gets like 2 minutes of screen time and he's just standing in the background half the time. Does he even have a single line of dialogue? I don't recall him having a single line of dialogue. Josh Peck, might as well just make him an extra. Rami Malek has like 2 minutes of screen time, gets a monologue, and that's it. For a 3-hour movie, I feel like you have to use your supporting cast more. And this movie's cast is so big that it leads to making the 3-hour runtime feel overstuffed for a 3-hour movie. That's crazy to me. How can a 3-hour movie be overstuffed? There's just so many different characters in this movie that the movie doesn't have any time to really delve into these characters, or at least give them a bit of a purpose to be there, or give them some sort of line of dialogue. Of course they have a purpose to be there, but just give them some dialogue. Have them interact with other characters. This movie can't do that. And the sound mixing, I thought, was borderline atrocious. It wasn't as bad as Tenet, where you have to listen to it with headphones or you have to put the subtitles on. But this is definitely a problem that Nolan has in his movies, where the sound mixing really drowns out the dialogue. There are scenes in this movie where I was just like, okay, what the hell did he just say? And I'm pretty sure that those scenes were important, especially scenes towards the end. I noticed it a lot more in the last hour of the movie as opposed to the first 2 hours of the movie. There were instances in the first 2 hours of the movie where I was like, but it was very few and far between. But the last hour, I just said, I think this is important, but what the hell did they just say? I have no clue. The music is building to this big-ass crescendo, and these sound effects are going off all over the place, and what the hell did they say? Somebody tell me. Tell me! When I buy this on 4K, I'm going to have to listen to it with my PS4 headphones because, I mean, that's like a surround sound system. I saw this in IMAX and I couldn't even understand what the hell they were saying. But the rest of the movie I found to be really, really good. I think Nolan really does a good job directing this. He seems a bit more restrained. He's not trying to blow your mind with this. I mean, some people might think that the ending, the last 45 minutes, or him trying to subvert your expectations and him trying to blow your mind with this crazy plot twist. There is a bit of a twist, but it is factual. I did look it up. It is stuff that actually happened in Oppenheimer's life. So you do have to address that, even though it does feel like the movie comes to its climax at the 2-hour mark or just shy of the 2-hour mark. That's what I wanted from this movie. I didn't want Nolan to try and outsmart the audience. I didn't want him to try and write a third act that was like, oh, hey, look at this. You didn't figure this out when we already figured it out 10 minutes into the movie. I didn't want that with Oppenheimer, and luckily that didn't happen. I think there might be some people who watch this movie who aren't regular moviegoers who might be a little off put by some of the sound design and the brief glimpses of like Oppenheimer's going into Oppenheimer's mind and him thinking about like what the hell is going to happen if I make this thing, and just seeing like random shots of like fire and destruction and all that. But I think the movie does a really good job at being a character study and a psychological study of Robert Oppenheimer and what goes through Robert Oppenheimer's mind. And Cillian Murphy is fantastic as Robert Oppenheimer. I think he could get an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, and I would be right there. I would support him, man. This dude, I think he really gets typecast or just thought of as the weirdo, psychotic villain in every movie. He hasn't really had a lead role to date, and this is really his time to shine. He is absolutely phenomenal. I felt like I wasn't watching Cillian Murphy. I felt like I was actually watching Robert Oppenheimer. And who's equally as good as him is Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., best performance of his career. I know he's Iron Man. There was a lot of talk about him getting an Oscar nomination for Endgame way back in the day when that came out. But he said that this is the best movie he's been in. I think this is his best performance by far. I know Tropic Thunder exists, and I feel like that Oscar nomination was a joke, but that's just me. But he should get it. He's really, really, really good in this movie. Aside from drowning out some of the dialogue, the sound is fantastic. The visual effects are fantastic. Nolan claims he didn't use a single ounce of CGI in this movie. I can believe that to an extent, but even if there is CGI in this movie, I couldn't tell. That's how good the visual effects are. The production design is top notch. The costume design I thought was really good. Everybody's got suits. It really feels like you're in the 1940s in this movie. As I said, the production design is really good. I think that they did a really good job of capturing Los Alamos in the 1940s and just how technology was used in the 1940s. I think what really is sticking out to me in this movie is that what really piqued my interest about this is that it's not just about Robert Oppenheimer and him creating the Manhattan Project. It's about his psychological state of mind. It's a character study. And that really hooked me from the beginning. While the movie is overlong and has a couple pacing issues because it is overlong, it never bored me. And it's a very, 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 very heavy dialogue movie. It's a drama. You're not going to get an ounce of action in this movie. But I think it's maybe because almost every scene had a musical score in the background. Sometimes with dramas, they omit a musical score in a lot of scenes, especially long dramas. Like, this is going to be a controversial take, but something like There Will Be Blood, I found excruciatingly boring. I feel like maybe that's because the music actually felt like a character in this as opposed to that, where it felt absent in that movie. In here, it felt like it was building to a giant crescendo that added to a lot of the tension of the situation that Oppenheimer and his cohorts were put in with this whole project and trying to build to a deadline and trying to outsmart other world powers and the fallout of it all. Ludwig Göransson is a great composer. And I think that they made the smart choice to put music in almost every scene of this movie because it actually did keep me on the edge despite the runtime being way longer than it should. I definitely do think that this is Nolan's best movie in a few years. I can't wait to see what Nolan does next. I do want to see him make shorter movies. I mean, even though I'm not necessarily a big fan of Dunkirk, it is at least short. I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes or something. I don't think we need 3-hour biopics here. This could easily have been trimmed, but it did pique my interest because it's not only about the Manhattan Project and the creation of the atomic bomb. It really dives deep into Oppenheimer as a person and his psychological state of mind. It's a character study. It's a drama that did grip me from the first moment, even if it is a little overlong. I will say I enjoyed Oppenheimer with a full bucket of popcorn. Nolan's best in a few years and his best in a few movies. lot better than Dunkirk, way better than Tenet, but I don't think it really reaches the heights of anything else. Maybe Inception. I don't think it reaches the heights of Interstellar, though. If you have seen Oppenheimer, leg one of the Operation Barbenheimer double feature, what did you guys think of Oppenheimer? Drop me some feedback in the comments section below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.